If your blood sugar is high in the morning, it may not be your dinner that's the problem. It might be what you're doing, or not doing, in the first 60 minutes after you wake up. Here's something most people with diabetes don't realize. Your A1C isn't just influenced by what you eat. It's influenced by hormones. And every single morning, your body releases a surge of cortisol and glucose before you even touch food. This natural rise, often called the dawn phenomenon, can quietly push your numbers higher if you don't manage it correctly. And the worst part? Many common, healthy morning routines actually make it worse. Coffee on an empty stomach, skipping breakfast, checking stressful emails immediately, staying indoors with no light exposure. These small habits compound day after day, and over 90 days they can absolutely influence your A1C. But here's the good news. You don't need a new extreme diet. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. You need a smarter morning. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the 8 a.m. blood sugar protocol. 5 simple science-backed morning habits that help stabilize glucose, improve insulin sensitivity, and create better numbers throughout the entire day. Control the first 90 minutes. And you control the direction of your A1C. Let's start with why mornings matter so much in the first place. Why mornings matter for A1C. Before we jump into the 5 habits, you need to understand something powerful. Your body is already raising your blood sugar before you even open your eyes. This isn't a mistake. It's biology. The dawn effect. Your liver wakes up before you do. In the early morning hours, usually between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. rows, your body releases hormones like cortisol, growth hormone, and adrenaline. These hormones signal your liver to release stored glucose into your bloodstream. Why? Because your body is preparing you to wake up. It wants fuel available for movement and mental focus. In someone with strong insulin sensitivity, the pancreas releases enough insulin to keep that glucose rise controlled. But in people with insulin resistance or diabetes, that glucose lingers. The insulin response isn't strong enough or fast enough to bring levels back down efficiently. That's why many people see elevated fasting glucose even if they didn't eat anything wrong the night before. And here's the key point. If your blood sugar is elevated at 7 or 8 a.m., you're not starting the day at baseline. You're starting the day already behind. Cortisol. Helpful hormone or hidden problem? Cortisol isn't bad, it's essential. It helps you wake up, think clearly, and mobilize energy. But cortisol also temporarily increases insulin resistance. That means in the morning, your body is naturally less responsive to insulin compared to later in the day. Now think about this combination. Elevated glucose from the liver, reduced insulin sensitivity, then adding coffee, stress, or a high-carb breakfast. It's the perfect storm for a spike. And when blood sugar spikes hard in the morning, it often stays elevated longer. Research shows that the first spike of the day can make your body more insulin resistant for several hours afterward. So, if you lose control at breakfast, lunch becomes harder. Then dinner becomes harder. Then nighttime becomes unstable. One unstable morning can ripple across the entire day. The compounding effect on A1C. A 1C reflects your average blood sugar over roughly 3 months. But it's not just about averages. It's also about how often and how high your glucose spikes. Frequent morning spikes create higher daily glucose exposure, greater glucose variability, increased oxidative stress, more glycation over time. Even a consistent 20 to 30 milligrams per deciliter elevation. Each morning adds up significantly over 90 days. Now imagine flipping that pattern. Imagine starting the day stable. When morning glucose is steadier, your appetite becomes more regulated. Cravings decrease. Energy becomes more consistent. You make better food choices later. You experience fewer reactive lows and rebounds. Winning the morning doesn't just lower one reading. It changes the metabolic tone of your entire day. And that's why the 8 a.m. window matters so much. Instead of fighting blood sugar from noon onward, let's control the first 90 minutes. Here's habit number 1 of the 8 a.m. blood sugar protocol. Habit number 1, hydrate before anything else. Before coffee, before breakfast, before checking your phone. Drink water. This sounds simple, almost too simple, but hydration plays a surprisingly powerful role in morning blood sugar control. Why water matters for glucose. When you sleep, your body goes 6 to 8 hours without fluids. You lose water through breathing and sweating. By the time you wake up, you're mildly dehydrated. And dehydration does something important. It concentrates glucose in your bloodstream. When plasma volume is lower, blood sugar readings can appear higher. And physiologically, your body has to work harder to regulate that concentration. Water helps in 3 key ways. It supports kidney function, helping flush excess glucose through urine when levels are elevated. It slightly lowers blood concentration by improving plasma volume. It reduces physiological stress, which may help blunt cortisol's effect. For some people, drinking 300 to 500 milliliters of water immediately after waking can lower fasting glucose within 30 to 60 minutes. Not dramatically, but meaningfully. And remember, small improvements compounded daily matter for A1C. What to avoid first thing in the morning. This is where many people unintentionally spike their glucose. Sweet tea or sugary chai, fruit juice, flavored coffee creamers, healthy packaged smoothies, honey lemon water. Even natural sugars will hit faster in the morning when insulin sensitivity is reduced. If you want lemon in your water, that's fine, but no added sugar or honey. Keep it clean and simple. How to do it correctly. Here's your structure. Within 5 minutes of waking, 1 to 2 glasses of room temperature water. Optional, small pinch of salt if you wake up feeling lightheaded or low blood pressure. Consult your doctor if you have kidney or heart issues. Wait 15 to 20 minutes before caffeine. That short pause allows hydration to stabilize your system before introducing stimulants. Think of it as priming your metabolism instead of shocking it. Hydration won't fix everything, but it sets the tone. And when you're building a protocol designed to influence A1C over 90 days, tone matters. Now let's move to habit number 2, one of the most underrated tools for improving insulin sensitivity, and it's completely free. Habit number 2, get morning sunlight within 15 minutes of waking. If you do only one thing differently tomorrow morning besides drinking water, step outside. Not to exercise, not to scroll. Just to expose your eyes to natural light. This may sound unrelated to blood sugar, but it's deeply connected. Your circadian rhythm controls glucose. Your body runs on an internal 24-hour clock called your circadian rhythm. This clock regulates cortisol release, insulin sensitivity, hunger hormones, sleep quality, even how your liver releases glucose. Morning sunlight is the strongest signal that resets this clock every day. When natural light hits specialized cells in your eyes, it tells your brain, it's daytime, regulate hormones accordingly. This helps create a healthy cortisol curve, high in the morning, gradually lowering throughout the day. But if you wake up and immediately expose yourself only to dim indoor lighting, your brain receives a weak signal. Cortisol rhythm becomes dysregulated. Sleep that night may suffer, and poor sleep increases insulin resistance the next morning. It becomes a cycle. How sunlight improves insulin sensitivity. Studies show that proper circadian alignment improves metabolic efficiency. When your internal clock is synchronized, insulin works better. Post-meal spikes are lower. Appetite is more stable. Nighttime glucose improves. And here's the powerful part. Just 5 to 10 minutes of outdoor light exposure within the first 30 minutes of waking can significantly strengthen circadian alignment. You don't need direct sunlight on your skin. You don't need to stare at the sun. You just need outdoor light exposure, even on cloudy days. Natural light is 10 to 100 times brighter than indoor lighting. That difference matters. Practical implementation. Here's how to apply this habit. After drinking water, step outside. 5 to 10 minutes minimum. No sunglasses if possible. Regular glasses are fine. Don't look directly at the sun. Just face the general direction of daylight. You can combine this with light walking, which we'll discuss next, but even standing on a balcony, in a yard, or near a window with direct outdoor exposure works. If you live in an apartment or urban setting, just stepping outside your building is enough. This simple act trains your metabolism daily. It improves sleep at night. Better sleep improves insulin sensitivity. Better insulin sensitivity improves morning glucose. It's a powerful feedback loop, and now we stack on top of that. Because habit number 3 takes advantage of something even more immediate: how your muscles act as a glucose sponge in the morning. Habit number 3: light movement before breakfast. If your blood sugar is elevated in the morning, your muscles are your fastest natural solution. Not medication, not supplements. Movement. Here's why this works so well, especially in the morning. Your muscles can absorb glucose without insulin. When you move your muscles, they contract. And when they contract, they pull glucose out of the bloodstream to use for energy. The powerful part? This process does not require insulin. That means even if you're insulin resistant in the morning, and most people are, light movement can directly lower blood sugar through a separate pathway. It's like opening a second door for glucose to exit the bloodstream. And because morning glucose is often elevated due to the dawn phenomenon, you're giving that extra glucose somewhere productive to go. Why light is better than intense. Many people think if movement is good, I'll just do intense fasted cardio. But here's the problem. High-intensity exercise in a fasted state can raise cortisol even further. And for some people with diabetes, that extra stress hormone can temporarily increase blood sugar instead of lowering it. This is especially true if you didn't sleep well, you're already stressed, your fasting glucose is high. That's why the protocol emphasizes light to moderate movement. We're stabilizing, not shocking, the system. The ideal 8 a.m. movement structure. You don't need a gym. You don't need equipment. Here are simple options. 10 to 20-minute walk outdoors. Gentle mobility routine. Light stretching plus bodyweight squats. Marching in place. Slow cycling. Even 10 minutes can make a measurable difference. If you wear a glucose monitor, you may notice a drop during or shortly after movement. If you use a finger stick, you may see improvement 30 to 60 minutes later. Consistency is more important than intensity. Why this habit multiplies the others? Think about what you've done so far. You hydrated. You aligned your circadian rhythm with sunlight. Now you're clearing excess glucose through muscle activity. You're stacking benefits. And here's something most people overlook. Morning movement improves insulin sensitivity for hours afterward. That means when you eat breakfast, your body handles those nutrients more efficiently. Which brings us to habit number 4, the habit that surprises many people, because it's not about skipping breakfast, it's about changing the order of what you eat. Habit number 4, the protein first breakfast strategy. If you only change one thing about your breakfast, change this. Stop starting your day with carbohydrates, even healthy ones, because in the morning, when cortisol is high and insulin sensitivity is naturally reduced, a carb-heavy breakfast can create the biggest spike of your entire day. And that spike doesn't just affect the next hour, it affects the next several hours. Why carbs hit harder in the morning? Remember what we discussed earlier. Your liver already released glucose overnight. Cortisol is elevated. Insulin sensitivity is lower than later in the day. Now add toast, cereal, oatmeal, paratha, fruit smoothie. Sweet chai. Your body now has to manage stored glucose from the liver, incoming dietary carbohydrates, reduced insulin efficiency. That's a metabolic traffic jam. Many people think oatmeal or whole grain bread is harmless, but even complex carbs break down into glucose. In the morning, timing matters more than labels. Why protein changes the game? Protein stimulates a much smaller glucose response compared to carbohydrates. It also slows gastric emptying, reduces post-meal spikes, improves satiety, stabilizes energy, reduces cravings later. When you eat protein first, especially before or alongside fiber, your glucose curve becomes smoother. This doesn't mean no carbs ever. It means to control the order and amount. The simple structure: your 8 a.m. breakfast formula, protein source, fiber source, optional moderate carbs, examples: eggs plus sautéed vegetables, Greek yogurt, unsweetened, plus chia seeds plus nuts, paneer or tofu with spinach, lentils with added protein source, protein smoothie without added sugars. If you eat bread, eat it after your protein, not before. If you drink tea or coffee, avoid sugar. If you enjoy fruit, pair it with protein, never alone. Cultural flexibility. This works globally. South Asian example: egg burji plus vegetables before roti. Western example: omelet before toast. Middle Eastern example: eggs or labneh before pita. The principle is universal. Stabilize first, add carbs later. When you stabilize your first meal, you prevent the cascade that follows. But there's one more morning habit that can quietly undo all your progress if done incorrectly. Let's talk about caffeine. Habit number 5: strategic caffeine timing. For many people, this is the hardest habit to adjust to because coffee feels non-negotiable. But when you drink it, matters. Why immediate coffee can spike blood sugar. Within 30 to 60 minutes of waking, your body naturally experiences a cortisol peak. This is healthy. It helps you feel alert and energized. Now here's the issue. Caffeine also stimulates cortisol release. So if you drink coffee immediately after waking, you're stacking cortisol on top of cortisol. And remember, cortisol temporarily increases insulin resistance. For some people with diabetes or prediabetes, this can raise fasting glucose, increase post-breakfast spikes, make blood sugar harder to control for several hours. Not everyone is sensitive to caffeine in the same way, but many are, especially those who already wake up with elevated glucose. The better timing strategy. Instead of eliminating coffee, shift it. Here's the protocol. Wake up, hydrate, get sunlight, do light movement, eat protein-first breakfast, then have coffee. Ideally, delay caffeine by 60 to 90 minutes after waking. By that time, your natural cortisol peak is declining. Hydration has stabilized plasma volume. Movement has lowered excess glucose. Food has reduced stress response. Now coffee is less likely to cause a spike. How to test if you're sensitive. If you monitor your glucose, try this experiment. Day 1. Drink coffee immediately upon waking. Day 2. Delay coffee 90 minutes. Compare your readings. Some people see little change. Others notice a 10 to 25 milligrams per deciliter difference. Over 90 days, that difference compounds. Watch the add-ons. Sometimes it's not the caffeine, it's what's added. Common morning mistakes: sugar, flavored syrups, sweetened creamers, honey. Even natural sweeteners can spike glucose in the morning when insulin sensitivity is low. If you drink coffee, keep it clean, or switch to unsweetened tea. You don't need to give up coffee, you just need to stop letting it control your glucose before your metabolism is ready. Now let's talk about the common morning mistakes that quietly undo all 5 of these habits, even when you think you're doing everything right. Common morning mistakes that raise blood sugar. Even if you follow most of the protocol, a few small morning habits can quietly push your glucose higher. First, grab your phone the moment you wake up. Emails, news, and notifications may not feel stressful, but they activate your stress response. Cortisol rises even more, and in the morning, your body is already in a natural cortisol peak. More cortisol means more insulin resistance. Second, drinking sugary tea or coffee on an empty stomach. Even 1 teaspoon of sugar, flavored creamer, or honey can spike blood sugar faster in the morning when insulin sensitivity is lower. That early spike often leads to cravings and energy crashes later. Third, skipping breakfast without a plan. For some people, prolonged fasting keeps cortisol elevated and blood sugar unstable, leading to overeating later in the day. Stability is more important than simply delaying food. Fourth, staying sedentary all morning. If you don't activate your muscles early, excess glucose from the dawn effect lingers longer in your bloodstream. Finally, poor sleep. One short night can increase insulin resistance the next morning. Small habits, repeated daily, big long-term impact. Control the first 90 minutes, change the next 90 days. You don't need a complicated diet. You don't need to eliminate every carbohydrate. You don't need to live in the gym. You need a better morning. Because your A1C isn't decided by one meal, it's shaped by patterns. And patterns start the moment you wake up. Let's quickly recap the 8 a.m. blood sugar protocol. Hydrate immediately, lower concentration, support kidney function, stabilize your system. Get morning sunlight, align your circadian rhythm and improve insulin sensitivity. Do light movement. Let your muscles absorb excess glucose without relying on insulin. Eat protein first. Prevent the biggest spike of the day. Delay caffeine strategically. Avoid stacking cortisol on top of cortisol. None of these habits are extreme, but stacked together, they shift your metabolic direction. And here's what makes this powerful. You only need to control the first 60 to 90 minutes. Not the entire day, just the beginning. Try this for 7 days. Track your fasting glucose. Notice your energy. Observe your cravings. Small, consistent improvements each morning can compound into meaningful A1C change over 90 days. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be consistent. If this helped you, subscribe for more science-backed strategies to manage blood sugar naturally. And comment below, which morning habit will you start tomorrow? Your next A1C begins when you wake up. Make it count. Thanks for watching.